What up, everybody? I am pumped to have Blake Brock, COO of New Edge Growth, with us as we have Fast and Furious. We'll explore how HubSpot partners have scaled in the HubSpot ecosystem. I'm going to do some cool things before I introduce you. Blake, it is, if you didn't know this, New Edge Growth ranks number 2 for customer care in the entire for North America. Behind On the Fuse, which is really Latin America. We won't talk about that, but they're second in the world for North America. And their claim to fame is if you have a if you had a bad implementation, they are the fixers. And so they're known in the ecosystem for coming in, and when something goes wrong and someone's, I need to go to Salesforce, they come in and they hold this where anybody they've ever fixed, they still retain and maintain today, which reflects and their customer care score. Blake, welcome today. The Fixer, Blake. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Matt. Happy to be here.
Blake, where I like to start is you didn't grow up and say, I want to be a HubSpot. I want to run a partnership with HubSpot and have our company. What led you to HubSpot? What initially made you say, okay, I'm going to build a business inside of the HubSpot ecosystem and let's go create care for customers and retention of them? What happened?
Great question. My partner, Mark Kelly, and I, prior to becoming a HubSpot partner, had both hung our own shingles. We were independent consultants running our own consultancies. We were fractional CROs, CMOs, really revolving around this whole RevOps space. We signed a huge enterprise level tech stack audit project. It ran the gamut of everything you could possibly imagine across the revenue tech stack. And this thing was a spider's web. They spent well into 2 million plus a year just on revenue technology. Some of it was integrated, some of it wasn't. But the deeper and deeper we got, we started to realize there's a lot of overlap here. We've got to be able to find a tool that can handle the overlap and be integrated and provide an integrated solution that really gets you to that holy grail of 360 degree of our business, from the beginning of the customer journey through closed won through expansion. And at the time, this is 3 years ago, at the time, we viewed HubSpot as, well, they're the marketing automation tool. Started diving in a little bit because they used HubSpot, but only as a point solution. Took a deeper look, really explored the functionality that had been released and was about to be released, and realized they could replace over half of their tech stack with HubSpot alone. Ended up making that recommendation in our readout to their entire executive team and to their board. And in that process, realized we need to get on this bandwagon. To that point, we decided we were going to be technology agnostic. We wanted to be able to work with everything because in our minds, that was doing the right thing for our customers. Mm-hmm. But in that project, we realized the right thing for our customers is to provide as close to an all-in-one solution as possible that gives them that 360 degree view of their customer journey. But even more so for certain folks, it is maintainable. The total cost of ownership is something that can be managed by the client side. They don't have to be completely dependent on building out a giant Salesforce team or even buying a license for every single person that needs to log in. All of these things became extreme value drivers that were like, this is a no-brainer. We signed up and we haven't looked back since.
Man, I love this story, and I've heard this more and more often. So you have people that have been in the ecosystem from the very beginning that started marketing agencies, say 10, 12 years ago, that have grown with HubSpot and changed with them. And then I've been hearing more and more often in this last 2 to 3 years saying, I was a Salesforce person, I was tech agnostic. I saw these problems. I did a independent evaluation. I used HubSpot, and now I never go back. And it sounds like it's cool to hear your story. And so we're 3 years. You are now Diamond in 3 years. I think the average is 7. So that's or 5 or 7. It's pretty incredible. So as we're thinking about why it becomes clear. How did you I'm going to talk to more of the tiering. Where are you at now? And I think this is helpful because we see a tier, and what does a tier mean? It means different things to different people based on their niches and what they're doing. What is your team like today? How many employees do you have? What's your revenue at? And
Yep.
then we'll talk about more about the tier itself, what the challenges you face to scale to that point.
Yeah. So we made a decision early on that it was most scalable for us to build an army of trusted consultants, and we hire everybody on a contract basis. We fluctuate between 15 and 20 of those contractors, and they have a range of different skill sets from implementation specialists and managers to RevOps managers, RevOps specialists, to folks that have run RevOps orgs. And then recently we have rolled out activation services, which is our way of talking about outsourced selling and outsourced marketing.
Hmm.
Really, we did that because we were building these fantastic revenue engines all inside of HubSpot. And then it was like, okay, what do we do with it? Do we just maintain it, or do we turn this thing on? And we wanted to be the ones to turn it on. So we have recently rolled that out, and it is going like gangbusters. So I think our official count literally is right in the middle there. We've got 17 contractors. We're in the 7-figure range of revenue. And 2024, our forecast is that we triple in size.
Triple. Wow. So we're going from, it's easier for me to do whole numbers. Some people are smarter than me. So triple would be around 50 to 60 people. If we're tripling in size, is tripling a number of people, or is it revenue?
Tripling revenue.
Okay. So it's probably 40 people and tripling revenue.
Doubling. The people strategy, hybrid approach. Some of those will become W-2 full timers. Some will be, continue to be independent contractors.
That's incredible. So in 4 years, you're going to go from one place to having 40 plus people that are working with a 7-figure business. That's triple. You just don't wake up and that happens. There are lots of thoughts and points and challenges at a different stage. Even when you're going from 5 people to 10 people, from 10 people to 20 people, what are the initial, especially when you're in the HubSpot ecosystem and you were brand new, what were the 3 initial challenges you hit? And you're like, okay, we have to fix these things as we scale that are memorable along the journey.
Yeah. Perfect. So we have our own the proprietary framework that we refer to as SPORT. It's the sport of growth: strategy, process, organization, results, and technology. And for us, joining the HubSpot ecosystem, could we lead with technology? Does that go against our own framework? Are we, changing our outlook and our go-to-market approach and our go-to-market motions? And I would say in the first year, that was a struggle because we were coming in and we were working with our clients on a consultative basis, figuring out exactly what they needed to do, how they needed to do it, really what that go-to-market strategy was, and how to build out a RevOps practice, and then pulling in technology. That's a slow way to grow, and it's a painful way to grow. And it meant a lot of late nights, a lot of long days, and no free time. And for us, we decided if we just embrace HubSpot as our go-to product, and for the record, we have customers who are on Salesforce or hybrid environments that are integrated with HubSpot, but HubSpot's really become our tool of choice. And confidently, we were able to lead with product, knowing whatever strategy we build, whatever processes we install, however we want to build out the organization and reporting and analytics, HubSpot can handle it. And they've only improved year over year to make that even more attainable. So the first thing was flipping our entire model on its head and being okay leading with technology because we knew the product was good enough to do so. That's probably one of the biggest things that we've done. The second is another one that has to do with our model. And starting out and coming from a consulting background, we had to try to get away from consulting. So what did that mean? How are we going to roll out services? You look at implementations, you look at post-implementation management, support, administration, and really productizing those things as service offerings for our customers so that we could continue to add and drive value for them. The transition, it's easy to think of the model. It's hard to transition and to position and frame those service offerings when you're thought of in one light And so we've had to really focus on growing year over year and make some big bets along the way.
So hearing these and digesting, number one challenge is, and I haven't heard of this. I like this idea. I've heard people at the 3 Ps, people, processes, something else that I forget right now. But you took sport and had this and technology at the end. And you also hear people say process before tool. And you said tool, then process. I've seen people say I'm my number one goal is adoption. I have found HubSpot to be the easiest tool to create adoption. Thus, I'm going to lead with the tool and then come with the process, knowing it can support. I've heard that more and more. That's cool that you see it and are communicating it this way.
And there's a little vein in there, just so we're 100% clear. We're still process over technology, but our confidence in HubSpot as a tool allows us to say, we're a HubSpot partner. We'd like to position HubSpot. We're still going to focus on process. We're not going to build the system out first. So we're still process in front of tool, but because HubSpot has become what it is, there's no question we can lead with it.
Received. That's helpful to process before tool, but we feel very confident and we can be unbiased. We can be biased, saying, "Hey, we prefer this," although we can support something if you have a process that needs to exist outside of it. And number two was understanding how to scale and how to grow. It's just helpful to think through how are you doing those. What are so you're now been through this journey. What is things you would never? I'm trying to position this in a way. What is you're a veteran now? Like you've been in the trenches. You have fought the good fight. What do you wish you would have done earlier than you've done now?
Yeah.
And then what do you wish and what is something you'll never do again?
I think those are two in the same and maybe two different flavors.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first year, we took anything and everything. There wasn't a project we'd walk away from. We would figure it out. We would lose. We would know, we knew we were upside down, but we wanted to take it and really earn our stripes. And what we learned in the process was, what are we great at? What are we good at? And what should we refer elsewhere? So understanding when to say no was huge. We still take a lot of opportunities that challenge us and challenge our team. And in that same vein, we really learn something about ourselves when we come in as the implementer or as the admin or building out a RevOps program with our customers. We have to be in charge. We have to be able to manage the build. We have to be able to manage the implementation of that build, the maintenance, the administration. If we lose that control, we don't have the same effect, and it puts us in a really bad spot because things like time to value, the timeline increases.
Mm-hmm.
We know exactly what to do and when, especially when we can learn your business model, and we lose the ability to pull those levers as quickly and as easily if we're not the ones calling the shots. We still want our clients to be partners with us. We still want them to have executive level stakeholders and project level stakeholders, but we need to manage the program.
When you think do earlier, what I heard is, I think this is good advice, especially at the beginning, is the faster you can find what you can niche in. And the niche or niche in some, the niche isn't always vertical specific. It may be function specific. It may be go-to-market specific. And your point, it is, hey, we can come in, and if you have a process, we can identify and help you build it better with this RevOps. But you only learn that niche, and there's a specific way you do it, which is we want to maintain this type of control. So you can learn to say no and when not to say no. You only learn that often through going through the challenge and the grind. Yeah. And you can't shortcut that. However, the faster you can do that, then you can then start to scale. And so what I heard is, I'm glad we did it. We needed to do it. And it's something I would do again, but I never want to go back to it because it's a grind. It's difficult.
That's absolutely. Yeah.
What is, as you think about, okay, we are now Diamond, which in the HubSpot ecosystem as a partner, which gets you more access, gets you more, like you're more relevant in the sense of sales, people like HubSpot sales reps will be, oh, it's a Diamond partner. What is the next thing for you? Like, what's the next big bet as you go from, as you join this podcast again, like when
Yeah.
you hit elite, what's the next big bet and how are you going to go from diamond to elite? How are you thinking about that construct and what bets are you making to do it?
Yeah, so we've made a couple of big changes specific to how we're going to market in 2024. And I won't talk to the specific industries yet, but we actually are taking a specific industry
Hmm.
approach. And for us, kind of like we got that reputation as the fixers, we have, for some reason, always been drawn to, and these industries have been drawn to us, the boring industries. Everyone wants to work with SaaS and tech, and those are really, really fun. And big brand, really, really fun. But we've gotten really good at the boring stuff. If you think about more traditional, long-standing industries, financial services, transportation, even private equity and venture capital, some of these things that are very difficult and detailed and challenging in nature to rethink or to apply technology like HubSpot and go to market in a totally different way or in a modern way. We have, over the last really decade plus of our experience, not being in a company, but previous jobs, previous spots, and then even as New Edge growth, gotten really good at the boring stuff and
Hmm.
realized there are some areas that we can make really, really, really big impacts really fast. And no one else is thinking about those problems because you have to have experienced them time and time again.
Yes.
We've solved them so many times in those industries that you're going to see some very industry specific solutions coming out from the New Edge team all across 2024.
That's exciting. I also think when you think about what Yamini speaks about, even in her quarterly, um, when they're going through their quarterly earning reports or inbound, it is, hey, we are going very, we are vertically not going deep. Horizontally, we'll have lots of breadth, and we'll pick. And much of that is her like business speak for we're not building vertical specific. We're going to rely on
Mm-hmm.
our partners and our integration partners to build those. So that's exciting. Like I think that is where HubSpot's going. And that's a great bet. So
And you think about Supered and how we can leverage Supered, that's exactly how we plan to leverage it. The way that we move fast is by leveraging the Supered platform to accelerate our own processes and our own builds.
as we talk about what are as we're coming to an end and you're thinking about standardization as you're scaling, what are the and there may be more than this, but what are the like 4 tech tools, tech stack that facilitate your processes that you would say, hey, I these are paramount to me and I wouldn't want to execute without them?
Inside of HubSpot, outside of HubSpot, where are you thinking?
I would even think as a partner, like it may be even my payroll. I do it via Rippling because it allows me to do this. Like, what are strategic tools for you that help you execute that you're like, okay, these are tools that you should at least consider?
Okay. Yeah. So one of those obviously is Super, unparalleled opportunity to scale your builds and do things that only you're doing, but do them over and over and over again. I think that one is obvious. For us, it, I don't know that this fits your question, but we have been hyper focused on API integration,
Hmm.
and in a lot of cases, there are uh, like ERPs, TMS platforms, and the transportation industry, ATS and staffing, more complicated, really all-in-one solutions that are industry specific that we've been hyper focused on building integrations with.
Hmm.
So I don't know that they're the obvious ones like lead intelligence platforms. I think everybody is using lead intelligence. We are adding Gong to our service offering, becoming a partner in Gong, knowing that HubSpot is very much entrenched with Gong and looking to expand that partnership in the marketplace in 2024. We're jumping on that bandwagon. But those are really the areas we're focused on.
So here it is. You're making some key relationships with industry specifically things that think about revenue in the back end of AP and AR, which is your ERPs that are industry specific, or ATSs. They're like very industry specific functions that are difficult to replicate. And there's some strategic partnerships like our Gong and Super, and there's others that you're then going to market with, which is cool.
Definitely. Yep. Nailed it.
Well, Blake, is if people want to reach out and talk to you either about how you've done it or even HubSpot services, what's the best way to get in touch with you after the day?
I'm available. Website, newedgegrowth.com. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm open, especially if there's a personal message sent and someone was listening to this. I am definitely open to conversations with other partners or aspiring partners or whoever just wants to have a chat. I'm open.
Blake, I appreciate the time. I think this is helpful for lots, and there are lots of nuggets put into this that'll be helpful for the entire community. Thank you so much for investing the time.
Thanks for having me, man.
Okay. Everybody stay awesome. Keep doing it big. Stay super. Adios, everybody.